What's up guys, hope everyone is doing good. So recently I completed Black Blizzard, a level that I always wanted to complete ever since I started slaying extreme demons. The first time I saw this level was actually on Sicky's channel when he beat this level as his new hardest extreme demon, and I thought, damn man, this level is cool. I love the decoration and I love the song too. So I thought, one day I will beat this level, and this is exactly what I did 2 days ago. When I saw the gameplay, I was thinking, that looks a bit weird, but I think I should not judge a book by its cover. Let's learn this level, maybe it will get better. No, it got worse. It got even worse. In the description of my Black Blizzard completion video, I gave the level a 1 out of 10. Okay, I didn't give the level a 1, I gave the gameplay a 1. But some people might say, why? Why does this guy hate this level so much? In this video I'm gonna answer this question by simply going through the level, tell you more about the timings and the parts and why they are so bad. So I would say enough talking, let's get right into it. So the level already begins with a couple hard timings, but this blue orb is really bad. Some people complain about the yellow orb in Sonic Wave at the beginning, but this orb is 2 times worse. In other words, I died over 1100 times to this blue orb. The level continues with some hard but pretty doable inputs. But then this blue orb is also really hard, because you don't just have to time this orb so you land in between the spikes. You have to click this orb as early as possible to land in between these orbs, but also not touch the yellow portal because of jumping too far. Because when you do that, the blue and the green orb become almost impossible. They become way harder. But after that, the difficulty decreases for a bit. I mean, there are some tricky timings, but kinda doable. Especially this staircase, which is legendary, but also pretty hard. After that, there's this part with some tricky timings, but especially this double click. I don't know why nobody talks about this click. The way you have to click this orb depends on how late you jump before. Because when you jump pretty early, you have to click this orb really late. But when you jump really late, you have to click this orb pretty early. And the problem is, the jump before changes every attempt. I mean, you don't do the exact same click pattern every single attempt. This is why this double click becomes extremely inconsistent. I already tried jumping really late, but that also became inconsistent after a while. But also we have the same problem with jumping really early. You just have to guess when you have to click. Again, I don't know why nobody talks about this double click. After this hellish double click, there is this legendary pink orb consistency spam situation and some very tricky but not impossible clicks. The whole part you just saw was the hardest part in my opinion. The second hardest part begins now, because every single click you're seeing right now is about the same difficulty in my opinion, which is really hard. Everything has to be timed perfectly, especially this whole situation. So basically your goal is to land as much on the right of the yellow jump pad as possible. So this really awkward yellow pad green orb click becomes as easy as possible. So what I did is hitting this orb as early as possible and hitting the last orb as late as possible. That way I managed to land pretty much on the right on this yellow pad, and the click became hard but not extremely hard. But when you mess up one single timing, this green orb yellow pad timing becomes really hard. A bit similar to this whole blue orb green orb thing that I mentioned earlier. And after this, there is this weird triple click. This is so incredibly weird, because inside of this blue orb there is a little saw. Usually when you spam really fast, that isn't that much of a problem, but when you spam way too fast, you don't jump long enough. So when you click the orb, your gravity changes, but you are so high up that you fall a couple pixels down. But after that, you hit this little saw hitbox inside of the blue orb, and same goes for the triple click after that, because it's the exact same. So what I did, and what many people do, was buffering the first pink orb and then click twice really fast. When you do this, your cube flies as high as possible, so you stay above the blue orb, so you can click it without hitting the saw. After the two really weird triple clicks, there are these 2 legendary triple spikes and then the transition to the drop, which is actually quite fun, except for this. These 2 pink orbs are really weird. So there are 2 ways to pass these clicks. The first thing being clicking with the UFO as early as possible, so you are as high up as possible and you just have to hit the upper orb. But that became inconsistent when I did this, because after that you have to hit this blue orb as late as possible, which is really hard when you are barely making it to this orb. Why do you have to click it as late as possible? You have to do this so you manage to land on the platform. That comes after this part. But as I said, this became really inconsistent after a while, so what I did is just clicking the pink orbs. This is a really weird double click because you can't click 2 times at the exact same time, because then you don't jump far enough. The clicks you have to do sound like this. so you jump as far as possible. But the tricky thing about that is the placement of the pink orbs. As you see, the first orb you have to click is more on the right than the other orb. So that's the orb you have to click first, but it's also the one that comes a bit later. This is what makes this click so weird. So you have to hit the second orb as late as possible while doing this double click. And the second orb is more on the left than the first one. This is the weird thing about that. If the positions were swapped, this would be way easier. Or at least if the orbs are like lined up. Anyways, with this method you would jump way more far than with just hitting one of them. That's why I did this. But you also have to remember that you have to click with the UFO. Like when you're about at the middle of the portal, it's weird. I still haven't figured it out yet completely. But then finally, the gameplay becomes a lot better. Everything you're seeing right now is a lot more fun than the parts before that. Everything is just easier and way better built. And then there's this duel part, which is actually easier than it looks. No joke, it looks really complicated at first, but once you figured it out, it's kinda easy and actually kinda fun. There are some weird clicks, but you just have to learn them. And then there's actually really easy and really fun gameplay that leads to the final part. This part is actually not hard or bad at all. It's basically just nerve control. Your heart is pumping like really fast and you're just thinking, please don't mess this up. I want to beat this level. Please don't mess this up. Don't be stupid. And then once you got through it, you're just happy and glad that you finally did it. That was the case in my completion. My heart was just racing and I thought, could this be it? Could it finally be over? Actually, I died twice to this part, which was really sad. But once I passed my best run of 95%, I just pulled through and I did not die past 95%. I just saw this art. I don't know if this is like a caramel logo or something, and I just screamed really loud because this nightmare was over. You may be thinking, if the second half of the level was way better than the first half, why is this level that terrible? The reason is that the first half is not only worse, it's also way harder. So you don't get to the second, more fun half and you're just stuck at the first half while going completely insane. Actually, like doing 48 to 100 is really fun and not that hard. That's why I thought this completion won't take me that long. But when you start everywhere before 48, this completion gets a lot worse. Yes! Yes! It's over! It's over! This was a nightmare, bro! This was a nightmare! Oh, it feels like this whole thing was a nightmare and I just woke up and realizing it's over. Yes! Let's fucking go. Bro, this is my 7th hardest level. And it felt like my hardest. It felt harder than Sonic Wave, but it's finally over. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps the channel a ton and this video took really long to make. So yeah, that's it. Have a good day. Goodbye. Oh, fuck my knee, bro.